So we have some good news and some news that's, somewhat surprising if you don't follow this stuff regularly. Look at what's going on in Washington, D.C. I think this is from the Washingtonian. D.C. Initiative 81, which passed with overwhelming support last fall, goes into effect Monday, March 15th under the Entheogenic Plant and Fungus Policy Act of 2020. Natural psychedelics, including magic mushrooms, ayahuasca, and mescaline, are decriminalized, making arrests for their possession or use the lowest priority for D.C. police. The law survived a 30-day congressional review period and a threat by U.S. Representative Andy Harris, who prevented the district from fully legalizing cannabis following a 2014 ballot initiative that passed with support from 70% of D.C. voters to derail it. Harris, who set off a metal detector near the House floor while carrying a concealed gun this January, had framed the matter as a public safety issue. I love that. I love the contradiction of me carrying a gun. That's a freedom issue, bro. I could do whatever I want. You could piss off if you don't like it. But people putting whatever they want to put in their body, whoa. Don't be crazy. This is insane. I'm against this. Yeah, we see you. We see you, you silly, ridiculous human being. Okay, so, this is big, man. This is a big step. They have decriminalized psychedelic drugs. I completely support this, and I promise you will not see the subsequent downfall of civilization that some morons would predict. It's not like since now they've decriminalized magic mushrooms, everybody's going to be on them 24/7. There's going to be a giant uptick in car accidents, and people are going to stop going to work. And nonsense. What's going to happen is, will some people experiment with it more? Yeah, probably. But there won't be detrimental effects to that. There just won't be. There won't be these, macro factors that make DC grind to a halt. It's just not going to happen. But I am reminded of a conversation that we had with Dr. Carl Hart on Crystal Kyle and Friends, and there is a bit of, what did he call it? Psychedelic supremacy going? No, was it psychedelic supremacy? I think that may have been the term he used. And the idea is, well, there are some drugs that are the good drugs that we can maybe either legalize or decriminalize. Then there's the other ones that are far too extreme and far too dangerous, and we need to keep those criminal. Or we need to, make sure those never get legalized. And that's bullshit, man. That's bullshit. Really, at the very least, you should decriminalize all these substances and, legalize some. But really, the answer is to legalize, tax, and regulate all of it. And a lot of people don't know the history of this stuff. A lot of people don't know that the drug war didn't happen because, scientists were sitting around a big table and doing formulas, and they said, well, this drug is too dangerous for the population, and this drug is not. No, if you look at the history of it, for example, opium became illegal because the Chinese who were here, the immigrants building the railroads, they had opium dens, and there was racism against them, and so the white majority cracked down and made it illegal. You look at the history of marijuana and how that's tied to Mexican immigration, and again, racism is a key part of that. Listen to Richard Nixon and his administration. They admitted that, we're doing the drug war because these are the undesirables. The black people don't vote for us, so we want to criminalize the black lifestyle. And white hippies don't vote for us, so we want to criminalize the white hippie lifestyle. That's why we're doing it. So this stuff is on the record and open. It was never about safety. It was never about security. It was never about, science. No, it's highly, highly political. And there was a time back in the day when, cocaine was in the original Coca-Cola, for example. You could go to the pharmacy and get basically morphine, which is basically heroin. There was a time when you could do that. Well, then we had the drug war, then we had the moral panic, then there was the crackdown, and now we're just getting to a place where we're starting to inch in the right direction with legalizing marijuana in a bunch of these different states and now decriminalizing other substances. But don't fall for the bullshit argument of well, these substances that I like are good and okay, and these other ones that other people like, no, they're bad and we need to keep those criminal. That's complete garbage, and you've fallen for some reefer madness type hysteria if you've bought into that idea. Let me just give you another example. People would think, oh my God, cocaine? Are you crazy? Don't legalize it, don't decriminalize it, don't do anything. Well, guess what? In some ways, we kind of have a semi-legal drug that gives you the same kind of high. if you get Adderall, that is effectively the way it acts in the body and the high it gives you is very similar to cocaine. That amphetamine uppy high. And with Adderall, you have to go get a prescription and whatnot, but you wouldn't see the downfall of civilization if we legalized, tax, and regulate it to the point where you can go to CVS or Walgreens or wherever and buy it over the counter. You wouldn't see the downfall of civilization that people are pretending like we would. So I just want everybody to keep that in mind as we celebrate laws like this. Like every time there's a vote and the people decide, yes, let's legalize marijuana in our respective state, all of us go, yay, good for you, that's wonderful. But we don't even have the conversation, and the polls don't reflect that other substances would get that same treatment. And that's just because the public hasn't caught up yet to the reality on this stuff. And again, that's a shame, but we got to get the word out there. We got to get the word out there that really all this stuff should be legalized, taxed, and regulated. And you wouldn't see deleterious effects. You just wouldn't. If anything, you're increasing freedom, you're increasing liberty, and you're also bringing about justice, because paired with this should be releasing every single nonviolent drug offender in the country and recognizing that really this is not even close to a crime, whether you were using these substances or selling these substances. And we're getting there. Again, we're inching in the right direction, but as of right now, people still have this psychedelic supremacy idea where it's like, well, the mushrooms are mushrooms and ayahuasca and DMT and that stuff. Well, those are the good drugs because they're potential positive effects and it reduces anxiety and depression and this and that. Marijuana is great for some people for relaxation, among other things. So, but that's it. Don't talk about the other drugs. That's silly because really, throughout history, people, as Dr. Carhart says, about 80% of all drug users are moderate drug users and they're not addicted. And those sorts of effects happen with all sorts of drugs, namely, something to fight depression, something to fight anxiety. These are things that people take various substances for, even ones that you wouldn't expect. So this is a great day. It just happened the other day, but March 15th was great, and we're moving in the right direction on drug policy. But we need to go further. You're always going to hear me say that. You need to go further. The fight is not over unless and until we free all the nonviolent drug offenders and legalize, tax, and regulate all these drugs all around the country. Now, that doesn't mean you can't regulate it. In fact, on the contrary, you should regulate these substances. But again, as a general rule, you want to embrace freedom as much as possible and legalize, tax, and regulate all of them, even ones that you might not think should be like that. When it comes to marijuana, for me, it actually makes me paranoid. It's actually not a good drug for me. I don't like it at all. And if everybody reacted to marijuana the way I do, I'd be like, I don't even understand why anybody wants this to be legal. But fact of the matter is, my experience is not the most common experience. And even if it was, who cares? You should still be able to put in your body whatever you want to put in your body. You shouldn't criminalize these substances. You should let people make their own decisions in terms of what they want to put in their body. And this is a big step on that front. It really is. But again, got to go further.